The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. 6 days before Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. They gave a dinner for him there, and Martha served, while Lazarus was one of those reclining at table with him. Mary took a liter of costly perfumed oil, made from genuine aromatic nard, and anointed the feet of Jesus and dried them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the oil. Then Judas the Iscariot, one of the disciples, and the one who would betray him, said, "Why was this oil not sold for 300 days' wages and given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief and held the money bag and used to steal the contributions. So Jesus said, "Leave her alone. Let her keep this for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." The large crowd of the Jews found out that he was there and came not only because of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. And the chief priests plotted to kill Lazarus too, because many of the Jews were turning away and believing in Jesus because of him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise you, Lord Jesus Christ.
It's the final week of Jesus' life. Countdown has begun, and I'm pretty sure that the tension was building up within himself as to what was going to happen, because he was well aware of what was going to happen. And Martha decided that she would anoint his body as a kind in preparation for the embalmment of his body. And Judas resisted this, because he saw it as a waste of time and a waste of good ointment. And he did it, as the gospel said, not because of his love for the poor, but because he was a thief. We all need money in our lives. Money means a roof over our head. It means food in the pantry. It means medication if we are ill. It means being able to pay our bills. So money is important. Very often people will quote the Bible saying, "Money is the root of all evil." The Bible did not say that. What the Bible said, the love of money, entirely different thing, is the root of all evil. And, of course, that was Judas's problem, his love of money. And so he betrays the Lord. But it's interesting that Judas regretted what he had done. Why do I say that? Because he went back to the high priest and he threw the money on the table. That was, of course, an obvious sign of regret. Now, if you compare Judas with Peter, I think that Peter committed just as big a sin as Judas. I really do. In the last moments of the Lord's life, he denied his Lord 3 times. He was the Pope. He had been appointed the Pope. He had been with the Lord for 3 years, and yet a waitress deceived him, and his accent deceived him, and he betrayed his Lord. So which was the greater sin? Well, the difference between Peter and Judas was this. Remember, the gospel said Peter went out and wept bitterly. He regretted what he had done and saw the forgiveness of the Lord. Judas, on the other hand, could not deal with his guilt. He couldn't deal with his guilt. And as a result, he took his own life. The love of money. And it happens all the time. Remember that famous gentleman in Europe called Madoff? He established that Ponzi scheme, took people's money, all their savings and everything else, millions and millions of dollars. And today he's in jail for the rest of his life. His son committed suicide. The love of money is dangerous.